Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, three neighboring nations in Africa's Sahel region and all former French colonies, are currently undergoing profound political and geopolitical transformations that could reshape the region's balance of power. Following successive military coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the European Union now finds itself grappling with how to redefine its policies and partnerships in the increasingly unstable Central Sahel. Amid this turmoil, Russia's deputy foreign minister has accused Western nations of deliberately trying to destabilize West Africa, framing the region's unrest as part of a wider geopolitical contest. According to the Russian news agency TASS, Deputy Minister Sergei Vershinin specifically cited Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso as examples of countries facing sustained Western pressure and interference. These same three countries have recently joined hands to form a new defense and political alliance, signaling their strategic shift away from France and Western allies and toward a deeper partnership with Moscow. Sergei Vershinin said, quote, "We see significant potential in new regional formats aimed at the sovereign development of African countries. In this context, we attach particular importance to strengthening cooperation with the Confederation of Sahel States, AES, which brings together our friendly partners Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Unfortunately, Western countries are waging a large-scale campaign to destabilize the situation in the AES states, which are at the forefront of the fight against terrorism in Africa." Unquote. The Russian deputy minister also stressed that Moscow is focused on nurturing multifaceted relationships with African communities, spanning military cooperation, trade, and cultural exchange. These comments came just one day after Russia's foreign minister delivered an address praising Africa's growing leadership role in global affairs and its shift toward greater political independence. In his statement, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared that Africa is emerging as a crucial pillar of the emerging multipolar world order, a system no longer dominated by the United States or its European allies. Speaking from Moscow, Lavrov described what he called Africa's second awakening, referring to the continent's renewed confidence in pursuing sovereignty and resisting external control. Lavrov reiterated that Russia has consistently supported the principle of African sovereignty, positioning Moscow as a reliable partner distinct from the interventionist policies of Western powers. We agreed to focus on strengthening interactions between the constituent entities of the Russian Federation and partners from Africa. This direction is undoubtedly of strategic significance for us. It is one of our key foreign policy priorities, not only because Africa is often referred to as the continent of the future with vast resources, perhaps even comparable to those of Siberia as some would argue, though that is for scientists to determine. In any case, until recently, these resources were not used for the benefit of African peoples, even after gaining political independence during the decolonization process, which was spearheaded by our country. Even after obtaining political independence, economically and financially, the newly independent African states remained, and in many ways still remain, dependent on their former colonial powers. In our contacts with our African friends, we are witnessing what I would call Africa's second awakening. Having gained political independence, they want to move towards using their resources and wealth primarily in their own national interests, while remaining open to international cooperation. This trend confirms that the African continent already is, and its role will continue to grow, one of the pillars of the emerging multipolar world order and will play an increasingly significant role in global politics, economics, and finance. Our country, the Soviet Union, followed by the Russian Federation, has traditionally been an active supporter of strengthening the sovereignty of African countries since the decolonization era. Our country, as known, led the decolonization process. Decolonization, as I mentioned, involved not only the political sphere but also the strengthening of sovereignty in the economy, energy, military-technical, food, technological fields, any area on which the sovereignty of each state depends. Moreover, Africans are ready to pursue these goals relying on their own resources and national interests. To help them rely more effectively on their resources, we talk about the contribution of regions to working with the African continent. This contribution is already significant. Notably among the subjects of the Federation are Moscow, St. Petersburg, Krasnodar, Krasnoyarsk, Stavropol regions, Tatarstan, Yakutia, and the Rostov and Kemerovo regions. For many years, the regions of southern Russia have supplied large volumes of agricultural products to Africa. Our goal, as requested by our African colleagues, is to transition from or supplement food supply with establishing food production and especially fertilizers directly on the African continent, for which all opportunities exist. We understand there are challenges, including logistic and financial constraints, but I am convinced these are all surmountable. We will actively encourage the interest of our regions, including all present here, but not limited to them, in establishing and developing mutually beneficial contacts with African countries. We will involve our embassies in promoting regional interests and advancing projects that have potential as mutually beneficial investment opportunities. Today, we'll look at what additional steps can be taken in this direction. In Africa, we are undoubtedly awaited, as our friends from the continent regularly tell us. We must meet these expectations. His remarks were timed just before the upcoming Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in Cairo, a summit expected to deepen diplomatic, economic, and defense ties between Russia and the African continent. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso had officially announced their joint withdrawal from ECOWAS, the 15-member West African regional bloc, further cementing their realignment away from Western influence.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.